Hair growth is challenging, and there are so many things that we can do. Again, being proactive, especially like certain things you can eat that promote hair growth, eggs and spinach and salmon and things like that. Scalp massages. There's a lot of things that you can do to stimulate hair growth and your scalp and stuff. You know, my hair is growing, but it's very thin, and it's not where I would like it to be. However, one thing that I think can change a lot of things within a cancer patient is our positive talk, not talking negatively about my hair growth.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the VoCP Talks, a platform to empower the cancer community. Our guest speaker today is Stephanie. So Stephanie is a cancer survivor and an integrative health coach. So thank you so much for joining us today. And shall we get started with the questions?
Yes, thank you for having me.
So first, could you tell us about how you first got diagnosed with cancer and the various treatments you underwent and how long it lasted?
Yes, so I had my first doctor's appointment after I found the lump in my right breast in what year we were, 2023. So April of 2022. It was a month before I was officially diagnosed, the end of May. And then about another month before I began treatment, towards the middle end of June of 2022, my treatment was 18 rounds. So the first 6 were chemo and targeted therapy, and then the remaining 12 were targeted therapy. Thankfully, the chemo drugs worked, and so we were able to stay on course with that treatment plan. I had a bilateral mastectomy after the chemo portion, and then that whole process of mastectomy, and I got expanders. I chose the implant route, so that was another surgery and more surgeries after that. So it's been a long year.
So after you got diagnosed, did you have to make any big drastic changes in your life due to the diagnosis?
You know, so yes and no. I was already, enrolled in my health coaching certification. I had worked for a national healthcare organization, a nonprofit. So I had already been making so many changes personally. However, a change I wasn't planning on anytime soon was I ended up having to sell my house. So I knew that this was going to be a financial burden, and regardless of how much insurance covers, there's still the max out of pockets, and I knew that this wasn't going to be 1 year and done. It actually, the way my insurance was set up is my benefit year was June 1st to the end of May. So I got diagnosed and had all of those biopsies and everything in one benefit year. Then I had all of my treatment except for one in the next benefit year. And then I just started my new benefit year and I had my final treatment. So I knew that it was going to be a huge financial max out of pocket year after year. And so with the economy that it was in, I felt like it was a good idea to sell my house, which sometimes I question that now because I miss my home. But I also knew the financial stress that I didn't want to be under. So that was the biggest change for me was selling my home.
And so you must have had lots of difficulties during the treatment in the past year. So what provided you with the most motivation and positivity to keep going, to have a positive outlook?
You know, being a young survivor, I think my attitude is really what kept me going. I like to challenge myself already in ways, and I was determined for this to not be a setback. I had big dreams and big goals, and I was working towards it. And I was like, you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to show other people that they can do it, and we're going to raise awareness around it and everything like that. So There were days that were absolute hell. I mean, just to be quite frank, but the days where I was able to make progress, and now looking back, I'm just so glad that I did the things that I did during those bad days.
So currently you are completed with the treatments.
I am. I don't know how to answer that question sometimes. So I am done with the chemo and the targeted therapy, and I rang the bell. So I would say I'm done, but my cancer was hormone positive, and there's a protein in our body called HER2. I was triple positive, which isn't really common. You hear a lot about triple negative and how that one's really hard to treat. Well, I was triple positive, so now I have the pleasure of being on hormone therapy drugs for the next 10 years. So I'm done with the infusions and all of those type of side effects. Now I just get to deal with, weight management and hair growth and things like that. A little bit of hot flashes with the drug, but thankfully it's just the one.
So even before you got diagnosed, you were on your way to becoming a health coach. And now you are also focusing as a cancer coach.
Yeah.
So what motivated you to take this path?
It's so funny that you asked that, because when I was first diagnosed, I was like I told you a second ago, I was like 6 weeks away from finishing my first health coach certification. And then I started to design a planner for cancer patients. But I was like, I'm not going to coach cancer patients. I've got into this to be more in corporate wellness. I really enjoyed what I did in my previous job and just wanted to do that even more. So I kept fighting that feeling of being a cancer coach and working and specializing with everything. And then I realized that my experience plus my education is just like that perfect storm to be a cancer coach. So, everything that I've learned and was implementing in my life beforehand, and all those, what I look back, were preventative measures, switching my cosmetics and my home my environment, all of those things that for somebody else would, again, like I said, be very proactive preventative measures if let's say they have cancer running in their family, or they just want to be cautious and live a healthy lifestyle. But then now with my experience, it's like heightened. Everything that I learned, I implemented quick. If I wasn't fully implementing it, it was I remember going through like all my beauty products, and I'm like, why am I holding on to this eyeshadow that I don't even really wear a lot of eye makeup from 10 years ago when it probably has a ton of junk in it? I'm trashing it. It was just, I was looking at all the ingredients and things like that. And like I said, it just kind of escalated things even quicker. So I want to be able to provide that knowledge to the next person so that they don't have to go through what I went through. They don't have the same struggles. They don't have to spend the same amount of time and worries of, is this safe? Is this not? Should I do this? Should I do that? Things like that. So that's where I can come in as a coach from experience and education and help them.
So since you had already learned so much useful things, it was just natural to continue on this path and help others.
Yes.
Okay. So how important is a support system for a cancer patient, and what exactly can a support system do for them?
The support system is probably the most important part of any journey from illness to wellness. That is where my company really has grown and evolved with. And it's kind of an interesting story, because at first when I was diagnosed, so many people were wanting to talk to me. Oh, my friend went through this, I'm here for you. Or, I went through this, I can talk to you. And I was just kind of like, I was going through my own emotional and mental process that I couldn't take on somebody else's story. And I wasn't ready for those conversations. But once I started having them, and they were very natural and organic, and it just gave me a breath of fresh air to talk to people who, gone through it 7 years ago, or who were sitting right beside me going through it. So once I realized that, it was like, okay, I've got this support. But for me, the support, I was super, 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 super proactive in all of the other care that I took. So which I think we'll talk about, is what I call my Ness Friends, from illness to wellness. I had a group and a core but large group of people that helped me along my journey: acupuncture, chiropractor, physical therapist, my own health coach, personal trainer, your social worker, obviously your oncologist, your parents, your friends, your whatever that is. And so I think a support community is so vital. I mean, and it's really hard for a lot of us to ask for that support. And so that is something that, I like to talk about, and I talk about with my friends and my family often, is, it's okay to say, hey, and they're like, what can I do? They mean that. A lot of times it's natural to just say, oh, I'm so sorry, let me know if I can do anything for you. But we also do mean that when we say that, and people that are saying it, mean it to us. And so it's, it would be really helpful if we could set up a meal train. It's been a lot on my mom, and that's something, I asked a friend. It's like, can we set up a meal train? This is going to be a really tough time after surgery, and I'm still receiving treatment, things like that. Absolutely. It was like, there were times where I didn't have someone to come sit with me. I'm like, can you come sit with me? Just, you're there for like 8 hours. And so your support community and your Ness Friends, whatever you want to call them, can do so much and are so vital for your overall well-being.
So you also mentioned being proactive, and so can we go deeper into that, and how can someone be proactive during their cancer journey?
Yes. So, as a health coach, I think it's very common for us to think about our diet and our exercise, which are huge part of our well-being. But for me in particular, and for others in their cancer journey, I encourage you, just like I was saying, to, seek out these other wellness experts and explore these other avenues of support. And sometimes it may be pushing against the grain of, we can say, modern medicine. So for me, my mobility and my strength and things like that was very important for me. I, of course, still wanted to look and feel like a woman, but I was an avid yoga person. I was like, oh my gosh, I just, achieved this crow pose, and now I'm not going to have the upper body strength, things like that. And so, being honest and vulnerable with our community support network, Ness Friends, and letting them know, like, this is my goal. This is what, I want to try to maintain or get back post-treatment. And so I actually saw a physical therapist the entire time while I was receiving treatment. And so specifically for breast cancer, if you do go that mastectomy route, we go through a lot in our body. And again, like I was talking about, your mobility is really impacted, and your posture, and all of these things. And so it was, what can we do to be proactive and not lose as much strength or as much mobility? Because cancer just eats at everything, especially the certain drugs that I had. I mean, my grip strength had gotten so weak, something that I've never heard anybody talk about. And it was like going to write, and I was like, gosh, like trying to open certain things. And so those were things that while receiving treatment, I mean, I have the putty in my desk. It was like, I can go ahead and give you putty. Like, you can sit there and play with putty and just keep those things moving the best way you can. And so that's what I think of when I think of being proactive. And then also, I like to say that, look at yourself, your health, and your surroundings. So yourself is, for a lot of people, going to be like their self-care. What is that for you? Your health is, your treatment, right? A lot of times your diet and exercise, things like that. But your surroundings, who are you spending your time with? How are you spending your time? Where are you spending your time? Your home environment, work environment, all of your surroundings. So there's so many ways that you can be proactive in this fight. So,
could you tell us about the Ness Friends now? What is this platform about, and how did you get started with this?
Yes. So the Ness Friends is evolving and growing every day. It is my community that I am building of fellow wellness experts, enthusiasts, and the like of, and again, like I said earlier, from illness to wellness. So those tuning in, it's NESS, the Ness Friends. And so it is a platform of connecting people to those resources, and a lot of it is me being that health coach, that cancer coach, and that resource. So one thing I love about being a health coach that is different than, let's say, your typical doctor is we are going to explore all of those different parts of your life. And maybe I'm not the expert in that area, but because of my education and my resources and my contacts, I can connect you with that or help you find somebody and do a little, vetting and research depending on where you are, in the community and in the world. So the Ness Friends is providing that space of total wellness and those resources to get you to where you want to be and to ultimately improving your life.
Can someone accelerate their hair growth post chemo? And do you have any tips regarding hair growth throughout a cancer journey?
Yeah, hair growth is that a fun topic for me. As you can tell, I still have my scarf on. Hair growth is challenging, and there are so many things that we can do, again, being proactive when it comes, especially like certain things you can eat that promote hair growth, eggs and spinach and salmon and things like that, scalp massages. There's a lot of things that you can do to stimulate hair growth and your scalp and stuff. However, there are also a lot of drugs that cancer patients are given that can also hinder that hair growth. So for me, one of my chemo drugs is what caused my hair to fall out. And then now the hormone drug that I'm on causes hair thinning and things of that such. So it is a constant battle and like trying to combat, like, okay, this is causing hair loss, but let me give my body some nutrients and vitamins and minerals that can support hair growth. So like if I took my scarf off, which I'm sorry, I'm not there yet, my hair is growing, but it's very thin and it's not where I would like it to be. However, one thing that I think can change a lot of things within a cancer patient is our positive talk and our positive thoughts. So one thing that I've been working on personally is not talking negatively about my hair growth. So if I constantly harp on, I hate my hair's not growing, I look like a boy, like whatever it is, or, I'm balding, I look like I'm 50, like all of these negative things that I've thought and I've felt, that's not going to help the hair growth. So it is trying to accept, as 80% of the time, as much as you can type of thing, that this is you in this current state, and knowing that you are doing everything that you can do, whatever that looks like. Maybe it is a supplement, maybe it's nutrition, your sleep, your scalp massages, certain like lavender oils, things like that. There's a lot of things, products that can support your hair growth. And so I actually have a freebie on my website that goes into a lot of those details if anybody is interested, or we can talk more offline, because that is a very passionate topic of mine, because it has been a struggle of mine. But one thing, like I said, that I've learned, it's how we are talking to ourselves during this journey and what we are thinking about ourselves during this journey.
And earlier you mentioned your cosmetics. So I want to talk about hair care products or skin care products. Are there something that cancer patients must look out for when they purchase their products? Are there ingredients they must completely avoid?
Yes, 100%. So in general, whether you are cancer or not, you hear a lot about parabens and like fragrance and things like that. Parabens, if people don't know, are known to be endocrine disruptors. And so especially, so endocrine hormone, for those that aren't sure. So that's very important for male and female, but especially women when it comes to fertility, and if your cancer is hormone driven, then even more so. So there's really a lot of reasons for doing that. One ingredient that I have learned is a big red flag for specifically breast cancer patients is an ingredient called black cohosh. So that is an ingredient that a lot of people will find in supplements for hair growth, but also if you're looking to combat hot flashes or night sweats, that is an ingredient that a lot of supplements have for women that have like premenopausal or postmenopausal like symptoms. But even though we have those symptoms as a cancer patient, they are not safe ingredients to combat our hot flashes or night sweats and things like that. So that was a big one that I discovered. There's other ones like silica you'll find in certain hair growth supplements. And what's really frustrating is there's actually a lot of affordable hair growth supplements, and I think even effective hair growth supplements out on the market, and a lot of them are going to have like that one ingredient that you shouldn't be having. So my biggest piece of advice is to do your research. I understand that you want your hair to grow, or whatever, you're taking, whatever reason you're taking that supplement for, or using that product for, to think about, is the risk worth the reward? So for me, I am using a shampoo and conditioner right now. I'm testing it to see how it is with hair growth. And like the second to last ingredients is fragrance. I typically try to stay away from fragrance because that is a non-regulated ingredient. There's can be thousands of things in fragrance because it's a secret. So that's how they can get through with the FDA. However, right now I'm like, well, let me just see how it works. That's a risk I am willing to take in a short term. And it is one of the last ingredients, so I know it's not a large amount. However, in my beauty products and my supplements, everything else is in line. So I try to look at things in an 80-20. I'm not trying to be perfect. I don't want the stress of trying to be perfect. I do want to see results. And so I think that there's that balance of, again, what am I willing to compromise and things like that. And so that is the one thing that I am compromising. But my hair growth supplements, I use a product called Goldilocks. It is not hugely well known, but I had vetted every ingredient and ran it through my oncologist, and I'm very happy with the product and the team with them. And so that, and then thankfully beauty products are, there's more and more talked about with clean beauty. We have to be very careful because a lot of companies can use the word clean and natural, and they're not, because those aren't regulated terms. But the EU has Europe is way more advanced in ingredients that they don't allow in cosmetics. The FDA in America is way far behind, but Beauty Counter has a great list. Arbonne products, some companies like those are what I personally use when it comes to beauty and skincare products.
So from your experience, is it difficult to exercise regularly while you're on cancer treatments? And have you found any way to stay regular with working out?
It's definitely difficult. And it's not just difficult because you're tired or you don't feel well. You're going through a lot mentally. And there's days where you're just like, I don't want to. I don't want to do this. I don't care to do this. You just want to lay there. But when you put your mind to something, there are days where it's not going to be difficult. And maybe it is taking a 10-minute walk. Maybe it's 3 10-minute walks once a day, one day a week, whatever that looks like. But I would say if you are struggling to get your physical activity, because activity managing your weight, things like that are huge with reducing your risk of cancer recurrence. So it's extremely important. And it also just improves your outcome post chemo specifically. So I remember my physical therapist asking me the other day, she's like, how's your fatigue doing? And I'm like, I don't have fatigue. Like, I don't have fatigue because we were so proactive, and I would, did a lot. And I still look back and I'm like, oh, I could have done more, but that's just me being hard on myself, and there's just so many things you can do. So yes, there are days where you're not going to do it. You're not going to want to do it. And there's very valid reasons, with joint pain and nausea and things like that. But if you are not doing it, even on the days where you feel like you could, I would strongly encourage seeking support and that accountability to help figure out, what is really that reason of why you aren't, having movement every day.
Okay, so finally, what's your message to our cancer community here?
Just to be proactive. I think, whether you're going through chemo, radiation, breast cancer, colon cancer, ovarian cancer, lung cancer, we all can be proactive, and whatever that looks like, again, like I said earlier, for yourself, your health, and your surroundings, being proactive is one of the best ways to improve your life during this time.
Someone did ask, what is the name of your company?
So it's the Ness Friends, so Ness. So the slogan is from illness to wellness. So we just took that Ness, and it is the Ness Friends.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining us in today's live session on cancer awareness and sharing with us your expertise and experience. And so have a good day.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.